All right, welcome to House of Track. I'm your host, David Ribich. Each episode, we have conversations around the sport of track and field with the people who make this sport so compelling to follow. At House of Track, we're focused on the people who make this sport so great and creating a space of connection within the track and field community. Wherever you're listening, we're happy you're here. And if you enjoy this episode, please consider leaving a review and following us on social at houseoftrack.hot. Today's guests, Sinclaire Johnson. Her career has never followed a straight line, and that's exactly what makes her story so compelling. In this episode of House of Track, Sinclaire joins the show as she enters a new chapter, recently signing with HOKA in what the brand has called one of the most significant athlete additions in its history. 2022 U.S. champion in the 1500 meter, American record holder in the mile at 4:16, and a multi-time world championship representative, Sinclaire has reached the highest levels of the sport, often while navigating setbacks, injuries, or major transitions behind the scenes. Also joining the episode is her fiancé and coach, Craig Nowak, who brings a decorated resume of his own. A multiple-time All-American with U.S. championship finals and Olympic trial experience, and Craig is widely regarded as one of the most sought-after pacers in the track and field world. Additionally, he was a sub-4 miler in college and is the reigning Portland, Oregon Shamrock Run winner, often winning his weight in beer. Together, they've built a coaching partnership grounded in trust, communication, and long-term athlete development, one that has allowed Sinclaire to train with greater intention, autonomy, and confidence in the past year, setting American records and rejoining her ranks on Team USA. We're friends. We know each other. How are we doing, guys?
We're good. You just
Wow,
gassed
that
us
was
up.
that was impressive.
I know it was. I had to rip it through AI a couple times. So
Yeah, don't stop. Don't stop.
everybody needs an intro bio, and that's the thing where, for the most part, I feel like I can build a good bio or just like an intro for people. But something that I said in the previous episode was House of Track provides the stats and then the athletes provide the story. And so that's what I'm actually excited about, is I can provide as much context as I can and framing around what you both have accomplished in the sport. But one of the reasons that I was so excited to have you both on is because of how much influence I believe that you guys have in the middle distance world of track and field, and then also just the sport in general. I mean, Sinclaire, you just recently got inducted into your high school Hall of Fame. And so I feel like from reaching Team USA to being inducted into your high school Hall of Fame, you kind of have touch points throughout all of your career still to this day. You're 26?
27, yeah.
27?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what was it like getting inducted there into that Hall of Fame?
Oh, it was fun. I mean, I don't get to come back, or not that I don't get to, but I don't come home that often. So I feel like whenever I am here, I just feel really nostalgic, obviously. Just, yeah, sleeping in my childhood bedroom and driving the same roads and running the same routes that I did in high school. But yeah, that weekend was really special. I feel like I didn't really know like what to expect going into it or how big of a deal they were going to make it. And they made it a massive deal, which was like, I felt very honored and very supported by the community here. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and also just to see like old administrators and coaches, and I mean people that I haven't seen since 2016 when I graduated high school, was really special too.
With a large portion of our demographic of listeners is through high school and college, and I know that's just going to be a common trend of whether it's questions submitted or just DMs that we already have gotten around like development. When it comes to those moments there in high school, do you have some mentors that played some pretty impactful roles that kind of built you to going on and competing for Oklahoma State?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that my coaches and my teammates and my parents like really trying to make sure that running in high school was purely fun for me. And obviously there were times where it wasn't that fun because it's running and it's hard, but I think for the most part they really tried to cultivate an environment where, you know, we're looking forward to coming to practice and we're enjoying running with our teammates and we're enjoying training hard, but we're not putting these, crazy expectations or metrics or I don't know, whatever whatever kind of makes things, not as fun anymore when they become a lot more stressful. So,
Yeah.
I felt like they did a really good job of that. And, I internally have like so much drive and expectation that I already put on myself. And it was really helpful that I didn't have a bunch of external pressure
Yeah.
with that. And I think my high school coaches did a really good job of, developing me enough to where I could win a state title and I can earn a scholarship, but I still had a lot of room to grow after high school. And I think that's really, really important. Yeah, for longevity in the sport for sure.
Absolutely. And just very seen in the last year that you had, right? Because you're able to set new personal best, set an American record, win races where I feel like you've always been in contention, but even winning the Hawaii Mile there, what's it called? The Merrier Mile?
Merrie Mile, yeah.
Yeah, there in December, like that is a very, very hard race to win. So Craig, when you hear those things around the longevity of the sport and the fun, how were you able to kind of bring some of those elements back into Sinclair's training, allowing her to just do what she does best, which is famously, as I quote, win Claire, just being able to go out and execute these races?
Uh, well, I try to keep things fun and fresh, honestly. I try to like get the same things done in creative workaround ways. And I think that helps a lot because if it gets too monotonous, it just it can kind of just wear on someone, I think, over time, and then just compare it too much. So I try to get creative with the design of things, but all kind of trying to accomplish the same goal. So I don't know. I think that's good for the longevity and the fun in athlete. You know, if you keep it fun in the sport, I think like you do a lot. Everyone does a lot better.
Yeah.
Um, that and just keeping people healthy because it's not fun if you're getting injured. So yeah, those are the big two for me. Keep it fresh and keep people healthy.
And I made mention of that too in the bio where it was like behind the scenes, like setbacks and injuries and navigating change, like not to speak on my internal knowledge, but it's like even when we were teammates, there were moments where we would be aqua jogging and, there were moments where things weren't going 100%. So, I mean, we talked even about careers in the aqua jogging pool of just like how long are we going to push into the sport, and I said I'm going to make it to 2024. Like that's my horizon. And so with this last year, like were there some of those setbacks that you kind of had to once again navigate, or was this one of the most smooth years that you think you've been able to have in terms of your buildup?
Yeah, I would say that this past like 2025 season was by far and away the healthiest season I've ever had. Um, Thanks to Craig primarily. But yeah, I mean I think there's always hiccups that you're gonna run into along the way. And I did have some knee tendonitis that, I feel like I'm still learning what to push through and what not to, which is crazy to say when I'm 27 years old. But I do have a tendency to make things seem like not that big of a deal and end up running into into injuries. So I mean I part of it is like I've created a lot of injuries in my past, but yeah, never had a bone injury this year, which is huge because I've had a bone injury literally every single year of my pro career. So yeah, that was a major win for us. And it's just nice that, the little issues I'm dealing with now are some tendonitis, which is just happens when you're training really hard for really long.
I feel like this year was a bit of, I don't know if fairy tale is the right word per se, but I felt like it was a culmination of a lot of growth that I think you guys have both had as people, with like all the life changes and updates that you guys have been able to put through, from being engaged to going independent and working with Craig, to having what seemed to be a build and build and build, and then there in September in Tokyo making the World Championship final again. And then I thought what was so cool is you got to see from a fan perspective, right? Like I got to see you compete at the highest level, and then I really got to see you guys enjoy Japan and be there with friends. And it almost felt like this year was a new chapter, but had like so many reoccurring main characters that make the sport so enjoyable. So when it comes to that trip in Tokyo, like of course you had your world championship race, which you can surely talk on those rounds if you'd like to, but I'm more interested in all the things that you guys were able to do in Japan outside of athletics. So how was that kind of season finale?
Yeah, I mean, I think just to touch on the race like really quickly, I think it's hard now with the new structure of the World Championship being, the very last race you do. Hard and also good. Like I do like it. But hard, I guess, in the sense of I didn't have the final that I was hoping for, and it's really tough to end on that note. But on the other hand, then it's like 2 hours later, I'm with some of my best friends in Tokyo, having a great time. So I feel like, being able to have that moment of being able to snap out of it. And yeah, we spent 2 weeks traveling with them all over Japan, which was super fun. I mean, I think it's really rare to have a group of friends as big as our friends are, and just willing to come over. And obviously they want to watch me race and stuff, but just spending their time off to come over here and do that, or not here but in Japan, and do that and travel with us, like, definitely I feel very lucky for that. And I think, a lot of these people are the reason why we're staying in Portland, why we stayed in Portland last year, and why we're continuing to, because community has been one of the pillars of my career, and what I really like to foster. And it's really important to me. So that trip was a lot of fun.
Yeah, Japan was awesome. Back on that race, I will say that her not having the final shoe was mostly my fault. We
Good
learned, we
coach,
learned,
accountability.
yeah, we learned some lessons because I don't know, she raced so many times this last year that there was some pockets of time with racing that we really hadn't navigated before. So definitely learned some lessons, which is good, without like learning a lesson too drastically. Luckily, so yeah, that was a nice journey to get through. But like she said, Japan's a good place to be when it's all over. So
Yeah,
we ate some chicken sashimi actually.
Yeah,
I
we
was
did.
On
was
accident.
it good?
Raw chicken. Yeah, the guys ordered it, chicken sashimi. I'm like, did you not know what sashimi means? But okay. And they were shocked when it came out raw. And actually, it was really good.
Yeah,
And,
no,
we looked it up afterwards, which maybe we should have looked up before, but you can't eat chicken raw. It just has to be really high quality. So we
And it
didn't get
was.
sick, and it was really good. I
That's
would eat
awesome.
it again.
Japan's got
In Japan, though.
so much good food though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was truly living vicariously, because even like a week before the final of both the 1500s, I was looking at flights, and I was like,
Oh,
it's only like 680 round trip. Like like the
Not
cheapest round trip is from Portland to Japan out of
Mhm.
all airports. And so I was like super tempted, and it was good that I didn't go, just because I would have been absolutely scrambling. But being able to be still in the States, but then go to like all my friends' stories and see everybody with one another. Like, of course there was FOMO, but there's also kind of a sense of like, that is truly, I think, what's so beautiful about the sport, like you're saying, is that community aspect. And I think that when you go on to the professional level, it's difficult to sort of find that, but you both have this, I think, very rare placement where you have this individual career that's set out between you and Craig now as the athlete coach, but then you have a community of people here in Portland that understand the running world, but also see and recognize you guys as people. And so being able to celebrate those accomplishments is kind of what the whole sport's about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, we feel very, very lucky with the friend group we have. Um, yeah, I mean, like, you couldn't have said it better. It's nice that they get it. Like, a lot of them ran in college, or most of them ran in college, and a lot of them still are, pretty competitive and training for marathons and whatnot themselves. But they also like love to have fun, and they're normal people now, and they
Mhm.
work 9 to 5 jobs. And when we kind of want that checkout from being athlete or being a coach, it's really nice to have those people in our life.
Would you consider Portland kind of that home base now? I know you guys have been here just through the contracts, but you're still in Portland now with HOKA. And so does it feel good to be able to kind of stay there and kind of continue to put those roots in?
Yeah, I mean, Portland was definitely home, and that's kind of a big part of why joining HOKA was easy and enticing, because we get to stay right where we are, where we like to be, and don't have to part ways with that great community. So that
Yeah, we bought our condo last year, so
Oh, you bought it.
yeah,
You guys are actually settled.
we're homeowners in Portland, so we're settled. We're here for the long haul.
I'm pretty sure are you guys Multnomah County as well?
Yeah,
Do
we
you know?
are. Yep.
I'm pretty sure Multnomah County is like the second highest property tax behind Manhattan Island. So
Yeah,
just
luckily our place is really small, so
Yeah, we got a
okay.
tiny little like
Luckily, we don't qualify.
660p condo. Yeah,
That's
we're
awesome.
not in the market yet for getting anything bigger because we're gone so much. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that's awesome.
yeah.
The outdoor season is brief, as we know. It's only a couple months, but you were able to kind of go out in this last weekend. And am I the first interview post signing of
Yes.
HOKA race? Perfect. Okay, I'm happy that was reserved.
Post debut race. Yes.
Post debut race. All right.
Yeah.
So we're getting the full inside scoop on House of Track. So kind of I would love to hear just about that race because I feel as though it takes a special kind of discipline as an athlete to be able to step onto the track and have a good showing in your first new kit, because everyone has this perception like, how's it gonna go? Like Hoka's a new brand, Sinclaire, is she a new athlete? And there's just like this weird perception where, are they going to be able to be the athlete that they were? And I think you were able to come out and just take care of business like you always have. And so it was exciting for me to watch and cheer. So kind of talk about that from your end. Was it pressure? Was it kind of like pride? Where was that?
Yeah, well, thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. I was trying to handle myself in as much grace as I could going into this weekend. Just because, like you said, I think there's can be a lot of pressure, and I definitely felt no external pressure, but more internal pressure of, I'm with a whole new brand. I'm, now representing this company who is, I don't know, is kind of bolstering me up as like, their athlete, and it
Yeah.
just got announced like 3 days ago, and that was all intentional. And I was just going through a lot of scenarios in my head, like kind of like you're saying, like I don't want to be these ex Nike athletes that is just like a flop after they, go with the next company. And it's brand new spikes. Am I going to like the spikes and a race? And of course I test them in practice, but yeah, it's just a lot of scenarios going through my head. I definitely feel like it was a very overwhelming week for me, and really tried to maintain focus on the race. So I was really, really proud, and I feel really pleased with the race on Saturday at New Balance because of all that stuff going into it. Um, and now that I've had that debut race, I'm kind of like, okay, now we can go back to, business as
Yeah.
usual. And of course, I know, like, my training, I believe in my training. Like, I know I'm fit, and I think you just like make up these scenarios in your mind. And yeah, there was just, I think, just the hyper focusedness on me leaving Nike and joining a brand new company that's not really in the track space, and definitely not in the middle distance track space as
Uh-huh.
much, was a huge risk for sure. But I think one that I feel day by day more confident in. And I just, yeah, I love feeling like I'm on the starting line, kind of representing this company and all the people behind it, versus like with Nike, it felt like I was kind of just representing myself and my
Uh-huh.
coach or my team, or, whatever that was. Um, and not really representing Nike. I was kind of like just, lucky that it was a Nike athlete, for
Yeah.
example. So,
Yeah. And that's where I think like sometimes it's hard because with our sport being essentially behind a paywall or an NDA where you don't really get those inside scoops on contracts and amounts and clauses. I think what's tough is, and this is now a common thread. And if you listen to last episode, thank you for listening. If you're listening to this episode again, thank you for listening. There's no HOKA plug at all in this. The fact that the first two guests are HOKA athletes, that was unplanned, unscripted. It's just you'll find a reoccurring theme that I'm leaning into some of the people that I know, respect, and are very close friends with to start. Only because I, like any type of training, need reps and repetitions, and so being able to have these types of candid conversations is important. But back to what I was saying, going into a company that is smaller is awesome because now you get to be a part of footwear. Now you get to be a part of design. Now you get to be a part of brand identity, and they get to invest in you not as an athlete, but as a person. And when we talk about the foundation of the sport being community, it is, I think, very well seen in brands like HOKA.
yeah, I mean, yeah, you really said it. You hit it on the nail or on the head. But yeah, I mean, I love being a Nike athlete, and I'll say that till the day I die. I loved it. I had no um, problems there. And, I did have an opportunity to re-sign with Nike. And I think, now I'm at the stage in my career where I felt like when I was with Nike, I learned so much through their teams that, I was on, and just even the people on sports marketing and the innovation, and, all the people behind the scenes too. Like, just, I feel like there was a lot of learning that happened
Hmm.
my 7 years with Nike, and being yeah, kind of more of a student, I guess you could say. And now I feel like now I'm in this position where we've kind of built something, and we took everything that we've learned over the 7 years, and we have this, beautiful situation where we can control it,
That's awesome.
and we know what we're doing. And yeah, it's ours. And so I feel like, now it's a cool opportunity with a smaller brand where, like you said, now I'm like, I've already gone into the office and had a meeting with the footwear team, and, the apparel team, and just like little things like that are just only going to elevate already the foundation of this
Yeah.
training situation that we've built. And yeah, I think it's just a cool opportunity to also, now I'm 27, and I'm probably entering the later half of my career now. And it's like, what kind of legacy do I want to leave
Yeah.
on the sport? And HOKA is a company that wanted to create and help, you know, um, aid that legacy for me. So,
And I think that's beautiful, honestly, in the fact that like you were able to be a student and now you're kind of in more of that control space. And do you think had you gone to a smaller brand out of college, you would have been in this position? Or do you think that you needed the Nike to find the confidence to be in this space?
that's such a good question. I think at the time where I was, I mean, I don't regret anything that I
Hmm.
have done. Like, my whole journey has led me to this point, right?
Yeah.
So I would never change anything. I think though I was so young coming out of college. I mean, I left school early to sign with Nike. I don't think I would have had the self-confidence and the self-assurance to be with a smaller company. I think I kind of needed a
Mm.
company like Nike to be like, "We value you. We believe in you." Like, so I needed this big player to tell me that, to, like,
Yeah.
make me believe that. Because I was 21 years old, and, like,
Yeah.
yes, I just won an NCAA title, but everyone on Bowerman had won an NCAA title, so I
Yeah.
kinda needed to be accepted into a big pond,
Yeah.
to feel like, "Okay, eventually, like, I'll feel like I'll belong here." Yeah.
Yeah. And then Craig, too, you with your professional career, I feel like your professional career was incredibly decorated in its own right. But I would also say a large portion of your career, Craig, was built around the identity of helping others. I feel like your natural progression from being an athlete to coach kind of came from, I don't know, I'm just interpreting it, but like your pacing, like you are one of the best pacers in the world. So for you, when was there ever a switch in that, like, obviously you're competitive, but you also kind of found that sweet spot of like, this is what I love about the sport is kind of rising with everyone?
I don't know. Now looking back, that's kind of how it feels. But at the time, it kind of grew out of necessity.
Mm.
Not having a contract and getting asked to pace here and there to make a paycheck. Is kind of where it happened. But then a fulfillment definitely came out of that, and I certainly enjoyed doing it. And I don't think I would have the same kind of I don't know, like, happy reflection on my career without pacing and doing all that. It gave me definitely a lot of opportunities, and a different level of fulfillment in the sport than if I just try to keep doing it, you know, the way I was, for myself. But to progress into coaching that way, I mean, maybe that is, and I'm just realizing that as well. But I mean that's the coaching thing kind of started to come naturally. I was coaching myself for like 4 years, after I mean, I luckily I had great coaches from Dave Smith to Robert Gary, and then when she was with Jerry, I was around the team the whole time, and then with Pete. So at that point, when I was coaching myself, I had like a lot of great sources and information to draw off of. So I mean that all kind of got me more fired up and, you know, in acquiring mindset about what does what and why. And when I started experimenting myself, that's when I learned a ton. And then Sinclaire kind of just happened into this situation when Union started to dissolve, and I was like, I think I can do this. I can at least keep you healthy and stuff.
Yeah.
So went from
Well,
there. And yeah, it's been great, and I definitely have a huge passion for it.
Well, in the same way in which I feel like Sinclaire navigating brands, you then navigated coaching, in which both of you in those timelines were kind of students and kind of learning and absorbing and kind of building your confidence as you were kind of progressing through your mid-20s to later 20s. And now you're both in positions of like, oh, wait, like we kind of don't have this figured out because it's always learning. But I credit you, Craig, I feel like every time that we were working out or had something going on, like you had this weird innovative workout where I'm like, I kind of want to be doing that. I kind of like, kind of seems like that works. So
I know, when when we were all at Union together, yeah, I was trying out some wacky stuff, but
Experimenting.
yeah, I mean, that's when I really started getting into it though, trying to see like, why, what does what, and, the effect on your body. So yeah, I mean, that's where the creativity kind of sparked.
yeah, I wish I would have done like a his and hers segment of this, and like had you guys have two whiteboards. Maybe if we were in person, this would have worked. And I would have asked like, what's Sinclair's favorite workout, and both of you would write down what you think it would be.
That's a good idea.
Have you guys ever been interviewed together?
A couple times.
Yeah, a couple
Oh,
times.
bummer.
Yeah, sorry, I had to run out too. I was like I was drowning. I took a sip of water and it was going on a long time. So
You're fine. This is the masterclass post
don't
production.
mind
So
me.
most of this is going to get taken out anyways. All the pauses in between and all the choking. So
All
yeah,
right,
we're
good.
good.
Nice.
What's been from a product from both of you? Like, what's been kind of like one of the more fun or surprising elements of HOKA from a product line perspective?
Honestly, for me, I guess just their footwear, because it's surprising in a good way, because I feel like especially when you're a Nike athlete of all brands, you're kind of put in this bubble where you think that Nike's the best at it and they're the only ones doing this and that and carbon plate and this foam and, all those things. And I think it really opened my eyes when I did take a visit to HOKA and met with their footwear team. And I, looked at all their shoes and I was like, oh, wait, like they're doing the same thing over here too. And then even like running in the shoes too has been a really nice transition in the sense that I really like them. And I found, right now I'm comparing things to Nike, obviously, because I was with Nike for 7 years, and that's
Your
what
structure, and so you're probably in the
Yep.
sports shoe of like
I was
the
a
Arahi
structure girl. Yeah.
structure to
So I
Arahi.
run in the Arahis,
Cool.
which are their structure version, which I absolutely love that shoe. I really do love the Cliftons too.
Yeah.
So I kind of like go back and forth, but even like their Rocket X3, which is kind of more like a Vaporfly, is great. I've heard great things about their Cielo X, which I haven't tried that one yet, but that's kind of more like an Alpha Fly version.
Yeah.
But
They got so many.
they've literally so many shoes. Like learning the names of everything too has been like,
Yeah. Do you want a quiz?
yeah, it's been a fun challenge. But I mean, there's even shoes. I think what your dad asked for these pairs of shoes the other day, and I was like, I hadn't even heard of these.
The
Gaviota.
Gaviotas.
Like,
Gaviotas,
they
yeah.
literally-
A stable plush trainer.
Yeah.
I've
been
stable plush trainer.
studying.
Are those more trail, the Gaviotas, or is it like the Gaviota
No, those are
Arahi?
those are like Arahi, but like kind
But
of
they're
a plush version.
Oh yeah, it's like
where
Clifton,
the,
Clifton Bondi on the
Yeah.
normal side, and then you would have
Exactly.
the Arahi to the Gaviotas.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, you
No.
know. I'm like,
I know shoes. I know shoes.
Yeah.
It's hard at first. You just draw. Yeah, you draw all the lines.
Just
So
trying to draw
Nike,
one.
when that's all you've known.
Yeah.
And then now, eventually, I imagine I'll be drawing them to HOKA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. The apparel side, I feel like the apparel of HOKA too is a little bit underrated. I feel like right now people recognize HOKA as like one of the largest and fastest growing shoe brands in the world, just with how they're able to hit a market of where I think, like you said, I think in previous interviews and podcasts, where a little bit known for the trails and roads, but now they're really investing in the track space. So from a competitive side, HOKA's there, but from an everyday jogger and community influence, like when I worked at a running store, I sold HOKAs more than I sold any other shoe.
Yeah.
Most of them were to nurses and people on their feet all day, but that's because they're a genuinely good and comfortable shoe. But on the apparel side, how does that kind of fit into the mold? Because obviously Nike had some pretty incredible product, but how is HOKA kind of compared on that?
Yeah, that's been like the thing that's been very different because, like you said, Nike, the thing with Nike is that they had everything. They made
Hmm.
lifestyle clothes and I mean, all the way down to like underwear. Like I literally had
Yeah.
Nike underwear. So
Yeah.
I feel like they just made so much stuff that you just would buy. I would just wear only Nike.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, because they made it all. So yeah, obviously Hoka's apparel is not as extensive, but the pieces that they do have, like I've loved their running stuff a lot. I love the materials that they use for that. I mean, when we went on our visit to that's another thing that's really exciting is I think they're also putting a lot of money into their apparel and it's specifically having kind of getting branching off into the more lifestyle space, which is really exciting. And I think that they have some cool collabs coming up too.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so we got to see a lot of apparel that they're working on. Unfortunately, it's not out yet, but
Yeah.
yeah, just a lot of, I feel like they're going to this wave of a lot of neutral colors and a lot of materials that feel really good. And yeah, just kind of revamping that space too, which is, yeah, obviously very exciting.
That's super cool. I always find it fascinating too because with athletes, like athletes play a very specific role for companies. Obviously, they're sponsoring them, but for product testing and things like that. And I always felt like comparing like a Brooks to a Nike, where Brooks is like, hey, we have this thing coming up in 2026, and you're looking at sketches on a piece of paper. And like you would never really get to see that back end innovation like you would at Nike because Nike normally would come out with like a couple product variations that you get to try. But I'm sure that you were able to see some sketches or some things down the pipeline where you're like, whoa, this is super cool. This is like super rad to kind of be behind the scenes and be trusted and seen as like, hey, what do you think of this? You're almost like a thought partner too in some of these ways because you're going to be wearing the product. You're going to be advertising the product. So, of course, they're going to want your input on how these things are going to be.
Yeah, totally. And then, I mean, that's kind of already been in play. Like I said, I went into the office like early first week of January, just talking about footwear and spikes. And they're gonna send me what like a couple different versions of their current
Yeah, like
spike,
3 different tweaks on the
just little
current
tweaks
model.
because
Cool.
I think the spike that they have right now is great, but of course, like I think they're wanting to improve it more and more
Yeah.
and kind of get my feedback, and I gave them a little bit of feedback too. So yeah, they're already working on that, which is just yeah, it feels really cool, very surreal to be able to yeah, I guess ask for what you want in a spike, and they're like, okay, done, we got
Yeah.
it.
That's like one of the things that I have. I have like a bunch of random iterations of like Brooks spikes that never hit the market because unfortunately these spikes just weren't good, but that's okay because it's like the innovation team. They're like, hey, try these. And so
Yeah,
we got to keep them and I tried them and they were so bad, but I still have them in a box because I'm like, these weigh like 60
that's funny.
pounds. I don't know why you thought these would be great,
Oh
but I
no.
look at them and I just think it's cool because as competitive footwear teams are competitive footwear teams. Like
Yeah,
they're trying to make a competitive shoe, but those teams are incredibly competitive. They want the best. Like
yeah.
it's not like they're just like, oh, we'll just give you a shoe. Like they want to be seen and they also want their records broken in the shoes.
Yeah, I think that's also been a really cool thing is meeting a lot of the people behind these decisions and
Cool.
the designers and the creators. Like everyone has so much energy to make a great product and genuinely want to. And everyone, at least that I've met, has been a runner or still is a runner, like because it's a running company. And so I think
Yeah.
that's the coolest part is a lot of these people are coming from running focused backgrounds and really obviously want to see especially the ones that were in track, like they really
Hmm.
want to see Hoka make more of a splash on the track scene. And I think I'm hoping that, with the like with signing me and kind of, creating, jumping into this new journey, I guess, with Hoka, like hopefully as much new energy as it's giving me on, the athlete side, hopefully it's giving them a lot of energy on, the creator and designer side to, yeah, really create the best of the best.
100%. That's awesome. It, yeah. It honestly, it's so cool. It's so cool to see the partnership, to see you guys both thriving. Honestly, it's cool to see the amount of trust that you both had in one another in the last year. Like, I think that relationship, I mean, obviously you guys are married and you're committed to each other, but there's a different level of commitment
Not yet. We're
when
not married yet.
you guys are getting married. Yeah. Okay. We'll transition to that. How's that going? You know, I'm a sucker for love. I love love. So everything's good on that front.
Oh
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we're good. Yeah, we get married, September 19th. So,
Yeah.
All right. Nice.
which
We got the major
you're
things
invited.
squared away.
Yeah, I feel like
We are,
I sent you
we
the
do
save the
have
date,
to save the
right?
date. We do, we have,
Yeah.
we're just, yeah,
Yeah, the official invites, I'm sending those out in March. So,
perfect.
yeah, stay tuned for that. But yeah, we
I'll drop the invite link on the podcast episode details. Reserve your
God.
spot. No, I'm just kidding.
Please don't. We don't need all these outsiders coming.
She's been doing
I'm
most
kidding.
of the heavy lifting, I'll say. But
Yeah.
I secured the DJ.
Nice.
So
Okay, so Sinclaire, tell me if this checks out, because me and Olivia were talking about our participation and how much we were planning for the wedding, and this was like a year later. We were at a family dinner. It was both our families, so of course I was like totally roasted from both ends. But we were like, "Oh yeah, you guys' wedding was phenomenal. It was so much fun." What would you say? They were talking to me like, what would you say your participation was in terms of like how much % you contributed? And Olivia was there, and Olivia was drinking wine next to me, and I'm like, you know, I would say it was honestly like I was involved in a lot, and maybe like 60-40. And she like chokes
You
on her
were
wine.
60 and she was
I-
40, or
I was, she
You're
was
40.
60, I was 40.
okay.
So she did majority, but I was like, I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
pretty involved.
Yeah,
And she's like, she like chokes on her wine, and she like dabs the corners of her mouth with her napkin, and I could just see, I was like, oh, I messed up. I was like, I'm wrong. And
Yeah.
I was like, would you not say so? And she goes, no, I would say it was more like 85-15. She's like, she's like, you were involved in every decision, but once you made a decision, I had to make 5 more beneath that. So it's like, oh, we want wooden centerpieces. Okay, do we want them to be circles or do we want them to be squares? Do we want them to be oak? Do we want them to be cedar? Do we want them to be aspen? And so it's like all those little details that I just wasn't aware of, I guess. So yeah, would you say it's about 85-15, or would you say?
No, that's generous. We're at 90-10 if I'm lucky. Maybe
Yeah,
95.
I mean, well, I will say that only because I've done a lot of the research in terms of who we're going with catering, the venue, the photographer. Well, actually, my mom's helped with a couple of things too, but I've done more of the research on the big things. I will say, but I also we did our catering tastings, and I wanted his opinion on what we want our menu to be, and so he gave his opinion on that. So I feel like I'm not making decisions without him. Like, he's making the decisions with me. I'm just doing the unsexy work of finding these things and kind of formulating, I guess, a broad idea of what we want the whole night to look like.
Yeah, I feel like once we were decided on something, Olivia's like, all right, you're gonna call them. So then I would have to call and confirm or schedule or build, you're the caller. You're gonna do the talk to strangers for me.
Nice.
That's
So
nice.
you're built for that, though.
Yeah,
I'm built for that.
you're a good communicator. So I feel
We
like
at work we did a random test that essentially ranked all 34 of your top professional qualities, and my number 1 quality is woo, which is so lame. When I was like, what does woo mean? And it means winning others over, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think
you're
for me,
charismatic. I think that's a good thing.
Charismatic, empathetic. I just like people. I like working with people. So yeah, I was like, I'll take those calls. That's the easy part for me.
Yeah, I think that's a really good trait to have.
I might be a woo guy myself. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you might be a woo guy too. Us woo guys will stick together. But
yeah,
I was speaking at a coach's clinic this last weekend, and a coach asked me the question of, when an athlete has a bad race, like a poor performance, and they're kind of stuck, and you need to get them back in the saddle, or you need to get them focused on the next opportunity, how do you navigate that type of a conversation? So I think it'd be interesting if you guys both kind of answered on that from a coaching perspective from you, Craig, and then also an athlete perspective for you, Sinclaire. I can also provide mine if you needed context of what my response was, but happy to hear what you guys would say on that.
Basically, how do you get an athlete past a recent bad performance?
Yeah, a recent bad performance.
Back on the saddle.
Yeah,
back on the saddle.
I don't know. Usually, I take a slow approach to it. Try to just listen and not, say too much too quick. Jump to conclusions or anything. Just try to hear all of her thoughts and what she's feeling, what she thinks. Cause then usually I have like some thoughts of my own, and then kind of just, I kind of let it process a bit. And then, yeah, I usually just try to keep it positive, but not in like not in a cheesy way. Just kind of like I try to be I don't know, critical of, the situation and myself and where the missteps might have been. But also like just, reminding her it's not the end of the world. Like this might have been a small, slip up here or there, or, this is it. But like, it also just happened, like bad days happen. And you just, you never, you could have an amazing day 3 days from now, and sometimes there's no explanation. So yeah, I usually try to just take a slow, listen heavy process approach, and then
Mhm.
go from there.
Yeah, I guess I mean kind of the same thing. I think the biggest thing for me is like I need to be upset initially. Like I don't
Mhm.
want to act like everything's okay. I don't think that pushing away that emotion is necessarily good.
That's
Um
hence why I move slowly.
so yeah, I'm usually very upset, and I think that's okay. I think like you care a lot, you put a lot of work into this, you want to do well, and when it doesn't go well, like yeah, that's really disappointing, that's upsetting, and that's a very normal human emotion to have. But then yeah, then I feel like I'm trying to quickly think about rationally like what could have gone wrong. And sometimes it's like nothing really went wrong, you just had an off day, and it's like
Yeah.
okay, we gotta, the sun's gonna rise tomorrow. Like, what did Dave used to say in college? He was like, "You're still gonna have a like, tomorrow." He's like, sometimes I liked my college coach used to say a lot of times, like, if you had a bad race, he's like, "The sun's still gonna rise tomorrow, and you're still gonna have a birthday," or I don't know. It was like something like
he,
that, but
he also
basically
used to
just
say like you go out there and get last, and no one's actually gonna care, and you can go out there and win, and no one's actually gonna care.
yeah,
I'm like,
Yeah. It's like just putting
uh,
things into perspective a little bit.
yeah,
except for
and
you.
yeah, but I think basically his whole thing was just like the world's not going to end, we just
Yeah.
because you had one bad day. And but yeah, so if there are things to talk through about, what we could have done differently or what went wrong, then of course we're doing that. And I'm trying to be like as quickly as, and not just like throwing that away and like not thinking about it anymore, but
Yeah.
more of just like kind of using that frustration, and maybe a little bit of disappointment, and trying to turn it into, okay, let's, we've got another race, in 2 weeks. Like, let's put some, focus the energy more in a positive way. And
Yeah.
I feel like I've used a lot of my bad races I've had, because I've had a lot, as more like fuel to the fire, and kind
Yeah.
of like, okay, I want to come back for revenge type thing, and not on anyone else, but more so just like myself, like
Yeah.
revenging a bad race or a bad year or a bad season or whatever it was. So yeah, I think it's really about how you channel those emotions, um to be able to get yourself back out there. What was your
And
answer?
my answer is honestly very similar. So I'm happy because if I were to just come out of the gates with something completely rogue from what you two said, then I would look like a complete
You've been like,
bad person. I've been like, wow, that is not what I said.
be
No, I said
texting that
something very
coach like, actually, I meant this.
actually, yeah. You need to tell them to suck it up. You need to tell them how bad they are. No, that's not what I said. I said something very similar, and I think that the first thing that you need to do is recognize that this person is a human, not just an athlete. So maybe taking a step back and being like, this person in this exact moment, like you're saying, like listen, let them grieve, let them be upset, let them go and experience these emotions, but then also let them lead that conversation back to next race I want the revenge, next race I want to do this, like kind of let them lead that narrative. Because if they're in this state of almost mourning and you come at them with like, we're going to come back at them next time, it's like, I don't want to hear that right now.
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
so
So
I
true.
said let them lead it, but recognizing that they're humans and these are real feelings, because it was a high school coaches clinic, so I could only assume they're referring to high school athletes. And I think in each age and each demographic, you certainly deal with different types of athletes. In our profession, it could be financial, it could be money's on the line. So that's a very different type of this was a bad race feeling than when I was in high school, where I'm like, my identity is this. And so navigating those, I think, are very different. But it all remains the same in that recognize that the athletes are human and let them do their thing. And these athletes are good for a reason. And if they're bad, they're not bad for a reason, but they're going to figure out what happened or what went wrong. So yeah, we're all on the same page.
Totally.
I think what's really unique about the sport of track and field, especially when you get to the elite level, Sinclair, you so more than, no offense, Craig, you and me, and we had a great national circuit, Craig, but international appearances, we didn't fully have that presence the way that Sinclair does. But you see these same athletes a lot of the times at these high profile meets every single weekend. How do you kind of approach facing off against like Jessica Hull, for instance? You've raced her in college and won your national title in the 1500 meter against her. And then you still see her now to this day at World Championship finals, and Milrose or whatever race you're in next. So how do you, one, coach navigate that, and then athlete navigate that?
Yeah, I honestly think seeing these people over and over again is actually a really comforting feeling, which sounds crazy to say, but I know what Jess is capable of. I know what Nikki Hiltz is capable of. I know what Faith Kipyegon's going to do in a race. Not that I'm, even close near her, but I think it's really comforting knowing like these people in a race, because like you said, I've raced them for so long and I kind of know their strengths, know their weaknesses. And usually if you're racing them a lot, you kind of know what shape they're in and how they're going to approach this race or attack this race. So I personally like it. I think the people that I'm always like worried about are the people, the names that I've never even heard of before. And I'm like, this girl could be a freaking superstar. And I have no idea because I never even heard her name,
Yeah.
So I think, being able to compete against, and I also think it's a really special thing to be able to constantly line up to someone like a Jess Hull or even Dorcas last week. Like, these are medalists at World Championships, Olympic Games, and something that I aspire to be. And I think it's a huge privilege to be able to compete against them. And I think it's only going to make me better as a competitor. And, the closer I get to them, then obviously I'm doing something right. And, hopefully it'll click that one day and, I'll be able to earn a medal too myself. So, that's kind of how I view it.
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, I think for me, I just try not to I'm trying not to never ever get, caught up in what each of those athletes is doing, from race to race or this or that. Cause I just think the more you focus on what's going to be best for Sinclair, each day, that's the best thing you can do. Cause the best training for Jess or Nikki, it's not going to be the best training for Sinclair. So I think focusing on yourself and, the athletes you have is the biggest thing, especially when you're racing the same people over and over again. You don't want to, it can be easy to get into the trap of, oh, I wonder what they're doing or so on. But kind of circling back to the bad race part, I like coaching Sinclair. I'm lucky because she's like so extremely mentally sound and brings like such an edge to all competitions. So whenever there is I mean, luckily we haven't had any like really bad days. They've been like maybe 5 to 10% off days. Basically, I just it's because she is the way she is as a competitor. It's easy for me because I just immediately start flipping through all the training, everything we've done, because I know it's something I did, because I have a controlled variable here. So it's I just immediately go through, what did I do scientifically to mess this up? So it's nice for me when she has battery, because I know
Nice.
it wasn't well. It wasn't anything. I know it wasn't anything. On the athlete variable side, it's usually with my coaching. So yeah.
Honestly, that is so like, I feel very lucky that I have him as a coach, obviously as a partner too, but even as a coach, because that, like, what he just said right there is actually so rare to find, especially like in the professional world. And I can say that because I've dealt with coaches and even
Yep.
college coaches too at times, that are the finger is always pointed at you and it's never pointed back at them. So that right there is like, obviously this is why I wanted him to take over my training. And I think this is why it works so well, is because I fully trust him in what he's doing. And, there's not this like, oh, well, it's your fault or it's my fault or we're a partnership and we're working together. But, when we need to take accountability for something we did wrong, we're the first to do it. Like, I feel like, with even me saying last year with my knee tendonitis, yeah, I should have been more vocal about my knee actually did hurt, and
Yeah.
so there's always things like that. But yeah, I feel like the fingers are never pointed at each other, which is, yeah, it just is nice. It's really nice to
Yeah. I
have.
never really understood when coaches would kind of go at their athletes, thinking they didn't want it bad enough, or
Yeah.
they don't care, because like no athlete wants to be out there, feeling bad, getting
Yeah.
embarrassed. Yeah, it's
Yeah. There's like a saying with coaching where it's like there's certain coaches where you win together and then the athlete loses alone. And I think that the more competitive the sport gets, or like the higher level, or depending on what program you go to, like there are certainly coaches that really celebrate and win with the athlete. But when the athlete loses, it's only the athlete that loses. You don't really see the coaches kind of being in that camp. And so I'm honestly, as a friend and a former teammate, like very happy and excited to, like, when that coaching switch happened, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Like
Right.
that's something that I can just see working. But exactly right. And like the 3 words that I use to describe a great coach in that clinic, and I didn't actually think I was going to talk as much on this, but it's relevant because obviously this is an athlete coach podcast this evening. But I put trust, calm, and strategy. Like if those 3 things were a part of a coach, like I knew that I would be able to associate with them, because I'm a very energetic, chaotic guy, and I don't need that energy from a coach. I need someone that's just like chill, like, yeah, we're good. Let's have a good day. Like go take care of business scenario. And then the trust, I think, is one of the most important things. And of course you want that in a partner, but you also want that in a coach.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
huge.
Totally. I mean, they're writing your training, and you're giving them your goals. You're saying, I want to do this, this, and this. And you have to put full trust in them that, they're going to get you there, and they're going to write the training and, give you whatever the right cocktail to get there. So yeah, it does come with a lot of trust and belief in your coach.
Luckily, I love riding training. I geek out over it. I get real
Yeah.
sciencey, and at the same time,
That's what I was kind of leaning into. I was hoping you'd kind of talk on that, just because I just know that you'd come to practice and you would just be like, yeah, I was reading on this like Norwegian triathlete, or I was actually looking into this Nordic skier who did, and I'm like, what are you?
Yep.
What articles are you like? What for? Do you speak Norwegian? Are you like? So
No, I
you
feel like
love the research.
that back, yeah, when we were all together, that's when I was just really exploring everything that's been unearthed out there in the world of endurance sports. So luckily I got a lot of those questions answered over the last 5 years. Like I don't think I would be able to coach Sinclair well like 4 years ago or 3 years ago. Like I needed time to learn a lot and develop a lot, and then also like see mistakes from a lot of other coaches and mistakes that I made myself. But yeah, I mean,
Yep.
I'm still the same way. I love absorbing information nonstop. I lose sleep over it.
Yeah, he really does.
I try to keep these episodes close to an hour, so we're almost on that time period. So I don't want to keep you guys later than you have to be, especially with being on the East Coast. But a question I do have, Craig, you were just kind of talking on it when you started talking and saying other coaches. Did you ever feel like, because you're coming in and coaching a professional, and now you have 2 American records and Team USA and like those accolades that you were able to achieve in your first year as a coach, I feel like if a coach with an ego were to see you say, "Oh, he's going to take on Sinclair," it'd be like, "Well, there it goes," like respectfully.
No,
I'm not saying that you're not
we've
capable.
all said that.
Oh, yeah.
About athletes,
Yeah.
moving coaches, and so on.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was someone somewhere saying, "Oh, her boyfriend's coaching her. Pff, okay, I'm not going to see her again."
Yeah,
Also, I'm
but
sure it's failed many more times than it's succeeded. So they have somewhat of a right to jump to those
Totally. I
conclusions.
mean, yeah,
yeah,
they don't know. Yeah, they don't know anything about behind the scenes. So obviously, from the outside perspective, yeah, that looks crazy to do.
yeah.
Now,
But then from the yeah,
the ego wasn't. I wasn't like I was never. I don't think I was ever. Fighting an inflated ego, and that was. I feel like that's never been too big a battle. I think I get more sidetracked and focused on like, oh my gosh, she's trusting me with her career. I was like, I can't mess this up. That's
mhm.
that initially probably occupied most space in my mind than having an ego or, oh, look who I'm coaching. I was
No,
like,
he's
I
saying
was
like and other coaches that had egos
no, I know, I was just
in the
elaborating on
space.
myself because
Yeah. Like
that,
you didn't feel like you had an ego coaching Sinclair, but at the same time, you were never worried about the egos of other coaches
He's
or the
saying egos
perception
of
of you
other
coaching
coaches.
Sinclair.
oh
He's
no,
saying like, who's this new guy?
no, I wasn't really worried about that.
Yeah.
I could care less. If they have their doubts, that's fine. Hopefully I'd prove them wrong, but I never lost sleep over whatever they might be thinking. I mean, it was probably more so for Sinclair, holding that weight of a lot of people thinking like, oh, she's making a bad decision. Um,
Yeah, but people have been saying that about my career for a long time. So it doesn't matter what decision you make or don't make. It's
Every
someone's always gonna say
yeah,
you're
someone's
making a
always going to say
mistake.
something.
Yeah. So I'm just
Yeah.
like at this point, I'm like, I don't even care. You also like, who are you? You don't even know
Yeah.
anything about me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I hope then through just like listening through this episode as well, people can kind of get a further understanding of like the relationship and dynamic that you two do have, I think, just as people, which I think is incredible. I think that it takes a special combination of traits that you guys have to have a successful relationship and then also coaching relationship. And so with you kind of being in this transition into a new brand and then also now already in between Olympics, which is crazy. You're looking through now into 2028. Is there for you a vision of roads, a vision of trails, or is there like, I'm middle distance and I am excited about the track?
Heck no, there is no trails, there's no roads. This is not a I joined HOKA, so I'm a marathoner in 4 years. This is an
Yeah.
I joined HOKA so we can make HOKA a middle distance track company. No, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I love the 1500. I love the track way too much. I think
Yeah.
obviously eventually I'll run a marathon just because I guess that's what people do when they like stop, you know, being a competitive athlete, and that's a huge bucket list thing, but anything other than that, no, I have no interest in going anything to the roads, and definitely not to the trails because they run like even further than they do on the roads. So
silly distances.
Really?
Ks, like there's so many different types of races
yeah, if
in
you're talking about a double digit K race, I'm out. I'm
triple
totally
digit.
out.
If you're talking about 100K
Triple
sky vert,
digit, definitely out. I'm like,
if the word vert is in it, I don't want any part of it.
yeah,
uh,
Yeah.
yeah, you
I think
really
she
lost me
I
on
think
that.
she's one of those rare milers for life.
I'm a
Yeah,
mile for
through and
life. I'm
through.
gonna be like a Jenny Simpson. I'm gonna go out as a miler.
I love
I'm not
that.
moving up. I'm not doing that.
Centro is kind of the same way too.
Yeah,
Just
Centro
Yeah.
was the same way.
mile till you die.
Of course, I'll do a 5K like on the track at some point in my career, but
Yeah.
that's never something I'm going to focus on. I'm a 1500 for lifer.
Love that. Is there any other burning things that you want to get off on this podcast before we let you guys go on the East Coast to get ready for you're competing in Milrose soon?
Yeah, Sunday, I believe on Friday.
On Sunday.
Mhm.
Technically, this episode will release after that. So great race. We were so excited. The House of Track community is so excited for the great race that you had there at Milrose. But is there anything else that you have or you want to talk through, or this isn't couples therapy, so
This is
You'd be a good therapist.
yeah, you would be. I don't think so. I mean, I feel like we touched on a lot of topics, so I feel like it was pretty comprehensive. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm
Cool.
feeling good.
Feeling good? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, I appreciate you guys coming onto the podcast, being the second guest on House of Track,
Yay.
adding incredible insight from being a competitor to also the real human element, which is a huge focus of House of Track as an entity. So thank you guys for your commitment to your own careers, but also I think investing in the careers of other people that sometimes just need somebody to listen to and find a sense of belonging. So you're part of the House of Track community. I know the community is going to appreciate that. And so thank you for your time tonight.
Yay. Thanks so much for
man.
having us on.
Big hot fans.
Big hot fans.
We're honored. Hot fans.
Perfect.
Big hot fans.